And hello, everybody. Michael Miley here for my live stream on Thursdays. Thursday. And had a little camera issue, a little camera hiccup. My webcam last week and the week before was giving me trouble. And yeah, this is okay, now I'm going to straighten her up here. Let's check this GoPro out. There we go. What do you guys think? That's me right here. Wanted to put this camera. What do you guys think? So this is my kit, right? Up close and personal. Little Roland kit. So I wanted to talk wanted to continue on with what I was talking about last week, which was a bit about the music industry, how to break into it. I was answering some Patreon questions, and I talked about how I met Jay. I talked about what the best advice was given to me in the music business, and I mentioned that my teacher, John Molo, Bruce Hornsby's drummer for 23 years, I studied with him when I was in college, and I asked him, what's best advice you could give me, if you had one bit of advice to give me. And he said, meet singers and producers, that you like their sound. Obviously, I mean, you want to introduce yourself to everybody, be friends with everybody if you can. But specifically those producers and singers that you really adore, that you love, that you feel like your music would fit in. So that's where I'm going to go today. I wanted to also morph that into going a little bit deeper into my career and how I eventually met Scott. So I'm going to get to that a little later. For now, I want to say hello to everybody. Wim Martins, what's up, man? Miriam, how's it going? Stephanie, Steph the Crumpets. Yeah, baby. Drummer 1971, Matt. Right? Yeah, that's Matt. Connor Pearson, Robbie Martin, Alex Campbell. What's up, my man? I'm going to get to a couple of your questions tonight. Alex is a new Patreon member, and he sent me about 38 questions. I think 38, and which I adore because they're all good questions. I mean, all of your questions are good. And like I mentioned last week, my nickname in college was Question Man because I always raised my hand. I was that guy. I was the guy who, when you're in university or school or high school or even whatever, and you wanted to, the bell's about to ring and the teacher's calling, any last questions? That was me. I was raising my hand, and the teacher would make everybody stay till that question was answered, and then so you weren't leaving in time because that was me. I was the guy. I was the guy asking all those questions. So Jeremy Walker, how's it going? All right. So I hope everybody's staying safe and calm. Stay calm. And be nice to drummers. Yeah. So I had a couple questions from my Patreons that I wanted to get to. And those of you who are in my Patreons, you've been very quiet this week. So I'm hitting up some older questions from some of my Patreons. And Alex Campbell, like I said, had 38 questions. So I'm going to get to a couple of those. So yeah, today I wanted to get to Wim Martins was asking about Latin rhythms. So Wim, I'm going to get to that. And Sue asked me, Patreon Sue, asked me about the influences of Rival Sons and myself. So all these things, this is a big, busy day. I got to get that. There we go. Sorry. My backdrop has to look like a backdrop here. So what do you think of my Earth backdrop? This is my my awesome purchase this summer. Let's go to the GoPro cam. Yeah. And okay, so I wanted to get to some playing a little bit. Because I love playing. I love playing some drums. And let's see if I could angle this baby down. All right, so you can see my... So here's some Latin rhythms off that vibe that I'm on right now. So 1, 2. I can hear my microphone banging. Hold on. I'm going to mute this mic while I play some Latin rhythms for you, just to do a little warm up. Oh, today I have the Feral Roots special cap that I invented with the Rival Sons logo. What do you guys think? What do you guys think? You guys think of that? Let me see if I can get this on better. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of that hat? This hat is my design. Todd, the mofo, Todd Ogren, the keyboard player for Rival Sons, and I were in Walmart, and you guys have seen my other hat, and it's got flowers. And I told Todd, I was like, dude, what if and it has the mesh. So there was this Walmart hat that has all this mesh in front of all these Hawaiian flowers. And I've worn it a couple podcasts ago, I think. And so I told Todd, I was like, what about putting the Feral Roots album cover behind the mesh? And then, Rival Sons, we own our own merch company now. So anytime you support us buying a shirt, rivalsonsmerch.com, you're supporting us directly. And so this is a prototype. How many of you are interested in it? I see a lot of comments saying you like it. So, yeah. So this is my Feral Roots cap. All right. Anyway, so I will just hit me up on Instagram or comment below that you like it. And yeah. So I wanted to turn off the microphone while I play a little bit so you don't hear my foot bouncing. One thing drummers do, and this Roland hi-hat mixed with this crappy hi-hat stand I have. And the hardwood floor that's hollowed out, you can hear every foot bounce. All right. Good evening. All right. So right there, I started out playing a few licks Latin inspired licks, and then I kind of went into more of a ride cymbal beat that was kind of Cuban influenced. I mean, nothing I'm doing is super authentic. I studied everything with authentic teachers and players, and I studied congas, I studied timbales, I studied I'm spacing on the name of those drums, the two-headed drums, the Santeria drums. I studied all kinds of Cuban rhythms, and then the second part I went to is more of like a samba influence. I mean, right now, I mean, these are like gringo samba, gringo salsa. Like, you study the authentic stuff, you learn the rhythms, you learn the patterns and the cascaras and the clave, and these are terminologies like that. Like cascara is so and then clave is ba 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 ba. So you hear this in Latin rhythm. Rumba clave is ba 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 ba, or 2/3 clave is 1. Right. So in Latin music you follow a clave. So what's interesting about that, and I'm going to get to more later when I'm talking about rock and roll history. We're going to do a history lesson today, rock and roll history, music history, and the evolution of music into rock and roll and how we got to today. So I might take a few live streams to get there, but I thought this would be a fun little segment to do in every show because from Bach to Beethoven, Mozart, Mahler, Brahms, Stravinsky, Rachmaninoff, to Charlie Parker, to Blind Willie Johnson, to Miles Davis, to John Coltrane, to John Paul, Ringo, and George, to Jack White, to today. Like, music has a history, and there's so much intersectionality in musical terms, and genres and crossover and eras and epochs of music and chordal structure and rhythmic structure. All this stuff is all coalescing into what we know of is like just modern rock, I mean, I can draw parallels and comparisons to Angus Young and AC/DC to Bach. Okay, so yeah, all this stuff is related, and I'm a super big nerd, and I love drawing these comparisons because it expands your horizons. When you listen to music, you can hear it differently, and hopefully I can, with my little live stream here, that I see a lot of familiar names, and I love you guys. I'm taking you on this little journey. This is like a little master class in music history, and drumming and rhythm, and music industry career stuff. So to answer Wim Martin's questions, he had a question about Latin rhythm. So the first one I played was more Cuban influence. The second one I played is more Brazil. So Brazil and South America, the music originally is called samba. You guys have probably heard samba, and samba carnaval. So a lot of the music that we hear from Latin America, or from Cuba, from the islands, is very carnival themed. So the pre-Lent celebration that happens, and everybody just goes crazy, and the music's crazy. So, and samba originally is like a real fast dance music, and the dancing is really crazy, and everybody usually is not very much clothed, and and they have a great time. So like a samba rhythm is, I'm going to start with the snare drum, the caixa part. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So the caixa is playing 16th notes, and the 16th notes are sort of swung. So in Brazil, they call it the swingy. So samba rhythm, and then samba has surdos. So 4 1 2 3 4 1. So you have these surdos, the bass drums. Surdo means deaf, like people that can't hear in Portuguese. And so you have that, and this bass drum part on the drum set, samba rhythms, emulates those. So right, so samba comes from that. And so when I do solos, Rival Sons, I'll always throw a samba in there, but just because it's the coolest sounding rhythm ever. I see my mom's in there. Sebastian Drummer has a question. When's the next Rival Sons album? You don't have to wait long. That's all I'm going to say now. Thank God we are making another record very soon. That's all I probably am allowed to say about that now. So we haven't gone in the studio yet, but a lot of preparations going on now. So, oh wait, I'm talking to this camera. How's it going? So yeah, we are in the studio very soon. So I can't wait to make the next album. So a lot of talk, a lot of positive talk. So it should be out by next year. Matthias Landis, what's up, man? Matthias, I have let's talk soon. I'm taking lessons with somebody you're gonna love. I'm gonna let you guys know who I'm taking lessons with down the road a little bit, because he's awesome. I think I mentioned him last week. So my mom asks, how long did you play with the Samba band? I led the Samba band at Long Beach State. So Long Beach, California State University, Long Beach. I led the Samba band, and starting my junior year. So I was studying with Chalo Eduardo, who was Sergio Mendes' percussion. And so the Samba band is technically all of the big surdo bass drums, and then the caixas, the repeniques. Repenique is like a... So it's more of a... It's kind of similar to the caixa, or they play it with as one stick in one hand. And so... So that's just a little brief thing of samba. So salsa comes from Cuba. So Havana, a lot of that stuff comes from Havana, and a lot of the bands you'll hear that play salsa are like some of the most insane musicians you've ever heard. And so all this Latin music I'm going somewhere with it. So just bear with me if you're not a drummer, or even if you are a drummer and you're wondering why I'm talking about this. I'm getting to a point. I studied, Neville asked what I studied in college. I got a degree in a Bachelor of Arts in music, or Bachelor of Music, emphasis in percussion. So I was a drum percussion major, Cal State University, Long Beach. And I graduated, which means I passed piano proficiency. Okay, so that was awesome. Ivo Fernandez asks, where did the admiration for samba come from? So when I first started going to Long Beach State, or before I went to Long Beach State, I went to a concert of their steel drum orchestra, which the Cal State University Long Beach is known for its steel drum band, like 150 people playing steel drums. It's just like Trinidad Tobago, they have Carnival, and they have a bunch of steel drum orchestras that compete against each other. And the songs are insane and very complex and very difficult. I played drum set, and I played double tenors. So tenors are the pans. They're two pans. The pans are the metal. They have notes banged into them. And Patrick Arnold made my pans. If you're into steel drum music, Patrick Arnold's a famous pan maker. And so I went to a steel drum concert, and then at one point the samba band came out, and I had no idea. what Brazilian music was. Pretty sure. I might have had a little cassette tape of some batucada, but I had no idea it was from Brazil. So the Samba band came out and it blew my mind. And when you hear batucada music, you will lose your mind. You'll lose your mind. The rhythms are so spicy, and just from what I'm playing here is, I mean, as 1, 2, 3, 4. Right, so you have it's fast. It's you're sweating, and everybody's playing. There's so many in the samba batucada in Brazil. There's 500 drummers. So at the Long Beach State, there's probably 20 or 30 of them came out with Brazilian drums and marching, in a marching style. And they had like a little choreography, and it was really just blew my mind. And I became obsessed with it. I started studying with Chalo Eduardo, and we went on tour with the Grateful Dead. We played with Santana, played with Ricky Martin. And so I was in this little samba group called Samba Nova. And so yeah, I love the Brazilian music. That's kind of where it came from. Ivo Fernandez asked. So back to where I was going with it. So Cuban music is Cuban music is mambo, salsa. You've heard these rumba. You've heard the rumba. Americans say rumba, but it's technically rumba. So rumba is a folkloric music that is pretty insane. Cuban musicians are maybe the best musicians on the planet. So salsa music, basically like a mambo. You have cowbell parts. I don't have cowbells here, but you have this and then you have kick drum parts going boom 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 boom. I'm singing the bass line. So you have like boom ga gung ga gung dang do dang do ga gung ga gung ga gung ga gung ga gung ga gung ga on the piano, right? So it's very rhythmic, and then you have clave. Right, so these rhythms right here, this clave. All right, now think of that clave, and I'm gonna play. I'm gonna just or like. When you put the clave to a rock beat, it's pretty cool. I mean, that's pretty much the groove, the 90s groove, I call it. So, even flow. Even flow. Boom. I mean, right? So that would be a rumba clave. So the 90s, a lot of the 90s bands have that clave in their music. So the evolution of Latin music affecting rock and roll and affecting, calypso and all that stuff was affecting. I mean, Elvis Presley has calypso stuff, so Latin rhythms kind of creep in there. But just I was asked by a Patreon member, my personal take on Latin music and how it's influenced me. I can expound on that. I wanted to move on to, let's see. I wanted to go to my other camera. Hello. Hi. I want to go see if did I hear something about a new album? Yeah. Are you late? Nola Creek. Are you late? Are you late? I'm just kidding. Nice R in Spanish pronunciation, dude. Hard to get it right. I mean, hablo español fluentemente después 2 semanas en un país que habla español. Necesito practicar mi español. I studied Spanish a lot, and worked in a lot of restaurants, and played with a lot of Latin musicians. Yeah, rumba. Yes. So, okay, where was I? I wanted to, let's see, Latin music. Um, let's segue into, oh, yes, Sue. Sue wanted to ask about the Rival Sons Patreon member, Sue. By the way, real quick commercial. Go down below, click on my Patreon if you want to become a member, and donate, subscribe. You have direct access. My Patreon's been quiet this week, so y'all are giving me money and not taking advantage of me. So I invite you to come take advantage of me. So yeah, the Sue asked what is my influences, and I think I could just kind of riff on my influences. I've talked about it a lot, but if I could maybe morph it with the story of where I was going last week, which was how I met Jay, which is goes back to my best advice I got in the music business, about the music business, and which was meet producers, meet singers, people. If you see someone you think is extremely talented and you'd want to play with them, I mean, it doesn't mean don't meet bass players and guitar players or keyboard players. Just basically, like, singers and producers are the main people that are going to be hiring you. And so having your lasers as a side musician, a guitar player, bass player, keyboard, horn player, backup singers, whatever, we're all side musicians, you know. When you go see, you know, Ariana Grande, she's got 12, 15 people on stage with her playing instruments that, you know, all those people are side musicians. She's the sole name on the marquee. Okay, so yeah, so everyone playing with her is getting a salary, getting a weekly check. They are not walking home with royalties. The artist is getting the royalties. So as a musician, you got to know the business, the ins and outs of that. So meeting artists, singers, front man, front woman, producers, these are the people that will hire you, you know. And you know, you seek out talent, you know, just like any industry you'd be in business. You got to be smart and seek out the people who are going to be successful, right? So especially what one little side caveat: the music business is entrepreneurial. You are essentially going into business for yourself. And even if you're in a band, like I'm in the band, Rival Sons, and co-owner, co-founder, and you know, it's my little baby, but it's also Jay's baby, Scott's baby, Dave's baby, and so it's complicated. Business is complicated, but where am I going with this? Hold on. Anyway, so like as a side guy, let's see, I was talking about being in the Rival Sons. I'm one of the band members. Okay, yeah. So when you're meeting people, like, so when I met Jay, you know, I wasn't in the Rival Sons yet, right? So this is 10 years before I was in the Rival Sons, before we started the Rival Sons with Jay. And so when I met Jay, you know, Rival Sons wasn't even a thought in our mind. And so the music industry is, when you get into a scene, whether you're from London, LA, New York, Nashville, I highly recommend, you know, moving at least to a big city that where music is being performed a lot. There's industry, there's record labels and agents and stuff there. You know, you want to be where the action is at the beginning. Like I lived in Hollywood for 11 years. So, and I always said that I used Hollywood the way Hollywood used me. And now I live in the suburbs with my wife and kids. And so, but for those 11 years, man, it was nose to the grind, crazy, hard, hard life, ups and downs, record deals failed, no gigs, broke, you know. I mean, you name it. I've been up and down. I've done tile work. I've done painted houses. I've worked bartender, busboy, waiter. I've done a lot of different kinds of work, and to keep myself, you know, afloat. So, so yeah, little tangent there. Back to the industry, approaching producers and singers. Um, you want to seek out talent. You want to win, and you're entrepreneurial. Um, uh, as a musician, playing drums in your basement, getting good for the gig. Like maybe you don't have the gig yet. Maybe you don't even know what gig you're going for. You got to get your chops together. You got to, whether you're playing piano, whether you're playing bass, guitar, whatever instrument you're playing, you got to get good on the instrument. And then comes the business, you know? And so I was giving some lessons this week. One of my lessons I was talking about, um, uh, so you have studying and you have practicing. So part of studying to me is listening to music, deciding what you want to practice or bring into your practice. But part of studying to me also is like meditation, prayer, quiet time, things that are good for your brain. You know, I like to be reading a book at any given time, doing non-drum related things, but also, you know, listening to a lot of music. And a lot of the books that I read I'm trying to enrich my business prowess, you know, my studying from like basic economics to how businesses work and how accounting, I mean, you name it, I'm reading about it. And because the music business, we're never, as we grow up wanting to be musicians and in a band, we never think of it as a business. And it's a humongous business, as you all know. So yeah, to break into the music business, you got to learn about it. You got to talk to people, get to know people, and make friends. Okay, so I met Jay, and 9 years after I met, no, 10 years, sorry, after I met Jay, the Rival Sons were formed. So you meet the talent, you go and you meet producers. So in between the 10 years I met Jay and we started Rival Sons, um, I'm meeting other singers, other producers, trying to get gigs. I played on the Carson Daly Show on NBC. Joe Firstman was the leader of the band. That was fun. We did that for 5 years. During that time, I had met Scott, and um, which I wanted to get to on this stream. So how I met Scott. Let me just go there now. So I met Jay at the Blue Cafe in Long Beach. Right? I told that story last week. If you missed that story, you can go to my last live stream from last Thursday. I think it's September 3rd live stream. I was playing with the band called Bird 3. So we were at that time. And so Greg and I went to the Blue Cafe to watch Jay. Okay, so Greg and I were in Bird 3 with Bird. And when we got dropped from our label, Greg and I remained really good friends. And fast forward like 3 or 4 years, I was down and out, no money, just looking for a gig or, you know, who I wanted to play with. I was in like a dead zone in my career. And I had played with Joe Firstman, and then Joe Firstman didn't break up, but I guess his deal ended and we stopped touring. So once you're a side guy and you're the leader of the band, you know, the solo artist just decides not to tour, you don't have a gig. Now you're hustling, you're teaching lessons, you know, you're bartending, you're doing whatever you can. So Greg called me and said, "Hey, I know this guitar player. I just played bass on a couple demos, and I really think you'd be a good fit." with these guys. You should call him. And so sure enough, I called Scott Holiday. Scott Holiday was who Greg Coates introduced me to. And so before I go on about Scott, I wanted to say a little bit about, so I'm in a band called Bird 3. Amazing band. Look up Bird 3 on Spotify. I haven't seen any of you comment. I mentioned Bird 3 last week. And my mom. What's up, Mom? So while I was out and about playing around town and touring and stuff with Bird, I'm meeting other people, right? So it's like life. I mean, you're constantly meeting new people and adding people to your contacts, and somebody along the way told me, don't burn any bridges in the music business. And I think that was really good advice, because 10 years after I met Jay, I'm in a band now that I have a career with. So I didn't burn a bridge with Jay. I actually played with Jay's solo project in 2002, before he was signed to Ultimatum Records, which he put an album out with his band Buchanan, which you all can look up. Jay's solo stuff is incredible. And his drummer, Chris Powell, who plays Brandy, Carlisle, and plays on a lot of Dave Cobb's productions and stuff. Chris, just phenomenal drummer. He was out and about or sick or whatever, I don't know, for about 9 months, and I filled in for him in Jay's band. And so Jay and I always remained friends, and we always said we were going to play together. And so we developed a bond and a friendship, and we called each other out of the blue every once in a while and kept in touch over the years. And so so through Bird 3, I met Jay, and then Greg, the bass player, Bird 3, introduced me to Scott. So there's two links of main links, the two principal songwriters of Rival Sons, Jay and Scott. I met through this other band I was playing it. So you could be in a band and you think this band is the end all be all. Like, we thought Bird was going to be, we were going to be the next Foo Fighters, or we're the next Nirvana or something. And that fell through, right? So you never know where life's going to take you, where the music industry is going to take your career. So, I mean, you have to be ready at all times. Okay, so that's a little bit about how I met Scott, through the bass player of Bird 3. So one key takeaway from this is don't burn any bridges, make friends. Where one of Rival Sons' mottos is, make friends wherever you go. So when we roll into a venue, we're trying to make friends with the local crew, with the promoter, trying to keep a jovial, lighthearted, calm spirit. Some bands roll into venues and they're dicks. They're not nice to people. Rival Sons, we've always tried to maintain a social media presence and a rapport with our fans, and as well, we do that with the venues that we're playing and our people that we're working with. So I mean, we try. You can't just be 100% successful in this world, because a lot of crazy people out there. So where was I going with that? This is just stream of consciousness. We're going stream of consciousness, everybody. I'm talking about the music business. I'm talking about making friends everywhere you go. And so being in Bird 3 got me to I ended up being in Rival Sons because of that. Like, had I not been in this other band, and we got signed a record deal, put a record out, we opened for Veruca Assault, The Cult, Stabbing Westward, a bunch of those older bands, and I ended up playing with Veruca Assault from that experience as well. And some of you might know Veruca Assault. Don't burn bridges, burn down Los Angeles. think Los Angeles is about to burn down. Um, how was the process of recording first Rival Sons album? Was it independent? Um, oh yeah, it was independent. Before the Fire is independent, and as is the EP. Okay, so Pressure and Time is the first major release. So on that note, a lot of our fans ask about Before the Fire and the EP, about getting it on vinyl or, hard copies of that. And usually we have them at our shows. We try to have those at our shows. Hey, Sean. How's it going? My mom says Michael played with Sheryl Crow on tour, Kelly Clarkson. My mom is trying to let everybody know I played in a band that opened for Sheryl Crow. Sheryl Crow is she on my bucket list. I want to play with her. I'm going to play with her someday. And then I did play with Kelly Clarkson for a few months. And Kelly Clarkson, I got that gig because of another gig I was on. And the bass player, Darwin Johnson, I think got me that gig. Or Jocko Curaco. These are all good friends of mine in LA. And Darwin Johnson, one of my favorite bass players of all time to play with. And he was with Joe Firstman. So through the Joe Firstman experience, playing on Carson Daly and stuff, I met a lot of other people. The band on Carson Daly was a rotating member band. So you were playing with somebody new every week. And it was a great way to network for the musicians. And so this how I came up through the music business isn't just like we all know about Greta Van Fleet. Kids are young, they're growing up playing the music. Their dad is their manager. All of a sudden they have a record deal and they're selling 6,000 tickets and they're in their early 20s now. So you have that experience where you're just like thrust into fame and fortune, right? My career has been a slightly more arduous. So I've been a side man and I've been a business owner, throughout the whole process. So I think I'm going to talk more about the entrepreneurial side maybe next week or something. If you guys are all interested in that, just comment below or hit me up on Patreon. Again, go to my Patreon and become a member. You can click the link below. Should be a link down there. Anybody have any questions down here, or should I keep rambling? Wim Martins asks, we ended up with a UK label, right? Yeah, we ended up on Earache Records, which is interesting. Earache was a speed metal, death metal, or thrash, or whatever the heck. All those like death metals, they all have, the genres are so specific. And if you call one a thrash band a grindcore, it's like the biggest sin ever to mis-genre them. So we were approached by them. I think they hit up our management at the time and said that they were interested in signing us. And we were like, this has got to be a joke, right? So we didn't even respond, I don't think. And then like a month later, they hit us up again. No, we're serious. And our manager was going to be in the UK for something. So he went and met with them and came back and was like, these people are real serious. They get it. They love your music. They love what you're doing. They want to be a part of launching your career. And it was sort of serendipitous because in the back of our minds, we knew we wanted to break Europe. But you kind of, as an American band, you kind of think the first step is to break America and then go over to Europe. So we sort of took the backwards route and signed with a UK label, which opened up the doors to mainland Europe and the UK and Scandinavia and Eastern Europe and that's how we launched our career in the UK and Europe. And so as American musicians, we sort of did it backwards. So you have to be open. You never know what door is going to open for you. And you could open this door right here. And that's not the door. That's not the door that's, you know, making you $1 million. It's opening this door and then going into this room and going, oh my God, there's 6 doors, right? And then, now you have 6 opportunities from this one door. And this could be meeting one person. Like I was saying earlier, playing in Bird 3 opened like 19 doors for me. So, and that was Bird 3. Richard Dashit produced our album, and he produced Fleetwood Mac Rumors, the first Fleetwood Mac album, Tusk. He was the front of house engineer for Fleetwood Mac for a lot of years, was in that Fleetwood Mac camp. And so I got to work with him, with other artists. I mean, he legendary Grammy award winning producer. Very influential on my drumming and stuff. And like, I got to hear a lot of Mick Fleetwood stories, and Mick Fleetwood's one of my favorite drummers. I love Fleetwood Mac. And, I like the Peter Green version. I like the Lindsey Buckingham, Stevie Nicks version. The old school stuff, like past Tusk, I'm kind of like, meh, but, that 70s Fleetwood Mac is really tight, really good stuff. Fleetwood Mac is Mick Fleetwood's a very creative drummer, very influential on me. And, so that's, I guess my music business portion. I'll riff more on this, next week. I think the music business aspect of my live stream is something I would love everybody to tune into. If you're an up and coming musician, or you just like hearing these stories of, if you're not a non-musician, you just like hearing the stories of how these bridges are built. It's fascinating. It's fascinating for me to kind of rehash those old the previous years. Ed, I was just on a conference call with the guys, and we're definitely of the mindset that we still have a long way to go. And so Rival Sons is not done yet. So for those of you who are questioning that, the current COVID 2020 year has not, Rival Sons has seen bigger obstacles than 2020. The entire music business is not against us. I'm not saying the music business is against us. It's just not for us, right? So the music business has changed dramatically since, when Gene Simmons says rock is dead. How many of you remember that? Gene Simmons said rock is dead, and it was famous, and he got a lot of backlash from it. And during that time, I was very vocal about, I agree. And partly rock is dead because I think they juiced everything they could out of that fruit, with the excess of the 80s, and the 80s excess, and the huge multi-million-dollar record deals, and all the money labels were spending, and stuff like that, were very key to kind of juicing that fruit. And I think it went dry. Another reason is rock bands, when you see the evolution of rock, you have the 80s hair metal stuff. And during the 80s, you also had Metallica coming up and Iron Maiden coming up. AC/DC was doing stuff. That some of the heavier stuff was just coming out. Meshuggah was coming out. And, and then you have Jane's Addiction coming in late 80s and bridging that gap from like hair metal into grunge. And then grunge kind of took rock and roll to like a new geographical region. I mean, we went from lush forest to, lush forest of the 70s to a sparse forest of the 80s to like a desert in the 90s. I'm not saying that grunge music is like a desert, like it's empty of any depth or anything. It's just like the blues got juiced out of rock music slowly over the course of the 70s, 80s, and 90s to where we landed into the 21st century and virtually with no blues. The blues were gone, you know, out of rock music. Keith Richards says this a lot. Jay says it a lot, that that you take the blues out of rock and roll, it means you take the roll out. So it's just rock. So once you take the roll out, once you take the blues out of rock and roll, it just becomes rock. And so then, you know, you have you have Jack White and the White Stripes. Jack White brought the blues back to rock and roll, and that's why I'm a huge White Stripes fan. Meg White's one of my favorite drummers. Like that simple way of playing is so refreshing, especially after that the 90s hit, and, you know, Matt Cameron, Dave Abbruzzio, you know, these drummers in the 90s, Dave Grohl, you know, these great mammoth, you know, drumming, Carter Beauford, Dave Matthews Band. You know, there's some sick drummers came out of the 90s. But the blues was slowly just being milked out of music, you know? So that was what was one of the the modus operandus of the precursor of Rival Sons. My conversations with Scott Holiday, you know, Scott started the band. Like, the idea came from Scott. I joined Scott. We formed a new band around me and Scott. So, you know, right. Scott likes to say in interviews, you know, it's his band. He started it, and it's true. He did. But he had another band, and I came in, and then we got rid of those other guys, and then we became Rival Sons with Jay. So yeah, but those early conversations of me and Scott, and the early conversations with Jay and Scott, and us three, and our old bass player, you know, that he who shall remain unnamed. No, I'm just kidding. Robin Everhart, great bass player. Our MO was to bring the blues back to rock, to make it rock and roll. And now every night on stage, Jay says we're Rival Sons and we play rock and roll music. So it's the statement we're making is a very, the flag we're planting it's a very serious flag we're planting. In if you look at the arc of rock and roll history, you know, we're trying to do a service to be not purists, but, you know, do our part in bringing the blues back to rock and roll. You know, bringing soul music. You know, the history of music, the history of rock and roll began with the blues, gospel, R&B, country, Americana, and calypso, island music, Latin music. You know, the United States was a melting pot for culture. You know, it still is, and so it breeds all of this. It's a melting pot. Rock and roll is a melting pot genre of music, and so when you put Rival Sons together, you have it in and of itself is a melting pot, because you know, five of us now with Todd on stage. You know, we have five very different backgrounds musically. So Rival Sons is a melting pot. The rock and roll genre is a melting pot of culture, civilizations clashing and coming together. And yeah, Raconteurs is pretty cool. I'm into them. Love Jack White. I've seen him twice in 2019. He's brilliant. Carmela Palmer says. James Iramescu says Raconteurs. Yeah. Just visited Third Band Records. Yep, when we went to Nashville. Cool tiny little place, right? We did a photo shoot in there. Jack White walked by, said hi to us, and that was the only time I met Jack White. He just said hi and bye. Have I fancied the idea of doing a drum-centric solo project? Like what Nate Smith has done. Yeah. I'm actually, the seed has been planted. I've been wanting to do this for years. and I'm very much fusion minded, and I love jazz fusion and stuff. And I always kind of wanted to do more of an eclectic Zappa influenced, jazz influenced kind of musical instrumental project. So that's something on the that I have my sights on. So yeah, that's all I'll say about that question. Keep on rocking in the free world. Okie doke. Black Crowes. Yep. I mean, Black Crowes is 90s though, you know, so they were one of the last bands to have the blues in their music, and um, but they fizzled out too. They stopped playing their hits and people stopped going to their shows. The Black Crowes are an example of, you know, if career wise, you know, business wise, of a band, a great band shooting themselves in the foot. You know, when you don't play hard to handle, you know, all these people come to your show and you're playing arenas, and you stop playing the hits that got you there, you know, Angel and all those old hits. You know, people will stop buying tickets, you know. Then they went from arenas to theaters, and great bands though. I mean, I love Black Crowes, but there's a lot of intense energy surrounding that band. Music integrated humanity. It brings everyone together. Yeah, I mean, you come to a Rival Sons show, it's like some people have called it going to church. I mean, for us, it's a spiritual experience, and for our audience, it's a spiritual experience. We're feeding off the audience, and the more the more magnetic and eclectic and firecracker energy an audience has, the more it fuels our tanks. You know, Billy Cobhamish, yeah, I love Billy Cobham. I don't like. I mean, I love Billy Cobham, obviously, but you know, those drummer albums, you know, those kind of bored me. Even Vinnie Colaiuta did one, Dave Weckl did one, and I think drummers they belong in the back, you know. And it's interesting coming from me. I'd rather partner with, you know, somebody of a Joe Satriani, Joe Bonamassa, you know, level, you know, guitar player, or somebody who it's like a dual experience. So I'm, you know, everyone pray, everyone send me good vibes, wish me good luck on thinking. But the universe is going to bring this to me. It's going to drop, and I will have this side project someday soon. Matt says, gotta run. See you, dude. Yep. Allman Brothers. I mean, yeah, Allman Brothers. They go way back. Victor says hello from France. Dave is awesome to see live, though. Who's Dave? Yeah. So anyway, so back to rock and roll history. If you guys want me to riff more on that, I can. I think it's very important to know the roots of why we even love rock and roll, and why, like, where Rival Sons is coming from. And it's basically rock and roll became maximum R&B, and that's what the Who called themselves maximum R&B. The Who, when they came out, they were doing a lot of Motown covers, and Dave Weckl, yeah. I mean, Dave Weckl live, of course. He's one of the best drummers on planet Earth. He's one of my favorite drummers. Do I want to listen to his solo album? You know, when I'm driving to the city, it's not my first choice. When I'm sitting down to practice, I will put a Dave Weckl album on, but I'm listening 90% of it. I'm listening to his drumming and slowing it down and trying to emulate what he's doing, or going, oh wow, he's doing a little lick right there. Oh wow, that lick is a bunch of paradiddle diddles phrased around the kit. How interesting is that? Because I'm working on paradiddle diddles every day. And I never thought to phrase it that way. And so that's how musicians are constantly influencing each other. So yeah, I love Dave Weckl. Greatest modern rock and roll drummer today. Love your work, Miley. Hey, thanks. Deep Zepp. Nice. You must be into Deep Purple and Led Zeppelin. Hey, really quick, Rival Sons post. I don't know. Did any of you see the recent Rival Sons post? I got some flack from people in the comments for our management was tossing around like ideas for us to do social media stuff. This is like a few weeks ago, and then one of the things came up was my top 5 current favorite drummers, like modern drummers. But in the video, I just said top 5 drummers. Wasn't top 5 of all time. I have my top 5 of all time. I have my top 5 jazz, my top 5 rock. I have my top 5 funk. I have, I got top 5s for days. Okay, so the my top 5 list from the other day on the Rival Sons Instagram page was modern, current guys I'm listening to today who are alive and well and producing drums and rhythm and music. And I said it was Chris Coleman, Ray Luzier, Mark Juliana, Keith Carlock, and Dave Elich. Those are my 5 favorite guys right now. And you know what? There's more. There's so many guys. Somebody mentioned Nate Smith earlier. I love him. Van Halen. Somebody says Van Halen. You know what's crazy about Van Halen? I always forget to include them in my influences. It's so weird because my first band I was ever in, all we did was Van Halen songs because my my best friend growing up, guitar player Jeff Radich, shout out to Jeff. All he wanted to do is play Eddie Van Halen, and he learned all of Eddie Van Halen's stuff. He had the custom guitar and everything, and we built studio. We put drywall up in his garage and learned how to build soundproof rooms and stuff. And that's where I cut my teeth as a kid in my first band, was playing Van Halen tunes. So yeah. The Alex Campbell asks, who's the first drummer that made you want to play drums? This is if you go back in any other Rival Sons interview where I've been asked that before, it's In the Air Tonight, Phil Collins. Right. In the Air Tonight. My dad was a huge Toto fan. My dad listened to everything, Steely Dan, Boz Scaggs, Fleetwood Mac, Eagles. Growing up, I was between my mom and my dad. It was Beatles, Paul McCartney and Wings. My sister got me into bands, Echo and the Bunnymen, U2. My cousin Daryl got me into Motley Crue, Iron Maiden, Metallica, Testament, Y&T, all those 80s bands. I was heavily into Motley Crue. Tommy Lee's drumming is a huge influence on me. But yeah, that moment that I was like, I'm going to be a drummer. It was In the Air Tonight. And also Hold the Line by Toto. I had a big moment that comes back to me when I look back into my childhood years. It's Hold the Line, Pink Floyd, The Wall, the whole album. I remember hearing that when I was just a little kid, and I remember hearing that. It wasn't so much about the drums, it was about the theatrical, emotional nature of the Pink Floyd, The Wall, and the fact that the kid played it was a young kid is kind of the character in the movie, right? It's Pink Floyd as a kid, right? In the beginning of the album, the whole first side A is kind of the kid's life and missing his dad. Or his dad went to war and never came back, and what the kid went through in school and all this stuff. And so I was like a young kid listening to Pink Floyd, The Wall. So Pink Floyd had a huge impact on me. Pink Floyd, The Wall, and so yeah, that's a little nutshell of how I got started and what made me want to play drums. Have I ever seen Vital Information with Steve Smith? No, but I've heard all his records, and I love Steve Smith. Very, very, very into that. Basking in It has good taste in music. Basking in It asked me to play Asia drum solo like 2 weeks ago on my live stream. so, um, so yeah, thank you, Basking in It. Hey, that's Sue, right? Basking in It. Are you Sue? I was answering a question of yours tonight. Let me see if I can, oops. Oh wait, this camera's not on. So I can use my phone. Yeah, Sue asked about inspirations. I mean, that's kind of what I'm talking about now. Okay, here we go. Sorry, little camera. If you guys want to see so one of my cameras is my iPhone on this little tripod. Yeah, and that would be this camera right here, which is this is my iPhone as my webcam. I love taking you guys behind the scene, behind the third wall or the fourth wall or whatever. Yeah, my mom says Michael was 5 when he saw Jeff Porcaro. I saw Jeff Porcaro at the Greek Theater playing drums with Boss Gags. And my parents took me. We had lawn seats. I remember that. I remember sitting on the lawn at the Greek Theater. Or Mom, were we even on the lawn? Were we like outside? I remember being in the trees or something. I remember it wasn't grass that we were sitting on. It was like dirt and twigs. And were we in the trees? Because I remember the stage being very far. Anyway, Eric Wallace says that's adorable. That's funny. How about Bill Bruford? I love Early Yes. I love Topographic Oceans and Close to the Edge. And I love Alan White too, you know. But Bill Bruford with King Crimson, that stuff is insane. Cheapskate Hill, and we didn't have to pay. Yeah. So that must be right outside the Greek Theater lawn seats. But yeah, we saw Boss Gags. That's my first concert. And Jeff Porcaro was on drums. I mean, I was so young. I don't even think I was 5, Mom. I think I was 4. If I had to, I think, yeah. Props to Mama Miley. My mom pushed me to the clarinet. Oh, bummer. Mom, thank you for not pushing me to the clarinet. Yep. Sue says my first concert was Boss Gags. Me too. First concert I paid, or my parents paid. My dad took me to see Warren Zevon. My dad was a huge Warren Zevon fan, and he always had a great band, great drummers, great musicians playing with him. Great songwriter, LA songwriter, very influential songwriter on a lot of other songwriters, and Jackson Browne, the Eagles, those guys, Joni Mitchell, CSNY, all those guys, they all knew each other in that 70s songwriter zone. So yeah, I'm going to wrap up this podcast very, very soon here because I gotta, because I'm in Estonia, I have a drum lesson in 20 minutes that I have to get ready for, and 11:30 p.m. here tonight, but it's East Coast time. It's 4:30 is my lesson, so I got to get ready for that tonight, people. A lot of rambling. I'm trying to get this to be topic oriented, and where's my mouse here? Yeah, I mean, last week I did a lot of playing and a lot of talking. The week before I did a ton of playing. So I've gotten a lot of mixed feedback from all you folks, and I love getting the feedback. Again, go to my Patreon, become a member, and we can interact. And I've taken a lot of cues from a lot of what my Patreon members have told me, whether it's through questions. I mean, Alex Campbell is a new Patreon, and one of his questions sparked sort of this music business segment I want to do every week. So if you guys have questions about the music business, if you're a musician, and trying to break into the music business, and you want some advice, words of wisdom, or like, a lot of my words of wisdom are from falling on my face 100 times. So, so you can get, use me, abuse me. I'm doing these every Thursday, live streams. You can come here. You can interact with me on Patreon. Like if you can't make the live stream, interact with me on Patreon. If I answer any of your questions on the live stream, I don't do, what is it called? The YouTube, where you can pay me on YouTube and tip me or whatever. Cause they take 35% of that and screw YouTube. So, I have my, Venmo and PayPal down below. If you want to give me a tip, I also have a tip jar on my Patreon. So go there, and I'm going to see if there's anything I'm missing here at the end here from you guys. Great lesson. Have a great lesson, buddy. See you next Thursday. Okay, ta-ta for now. How do you guys stay fresh and creative with every album you make? I mean, like I was saying, I'm taking a lesson in 20 minutes. And I'll reveal Matthias Landes. Hey, what's up, brother? Hey, dude, you hung out the whole time. Why don't you chime in, dude? Send me some topics or some questions you want me to hit. Matthias always has some great ideas. Like when I was doing the sound check sessions on the road, Matthias is my cameraman. He's the one filming me. So any of the sound check sessions you see, and subscribe, all that stuff below, and go into my YouTube account here and look at some of my past videos. I have 31 or 32 sound check sessions that me and Matthias have done. But I'll be backstage before drum check, and I'm like, Matthias, what should I do? What should I do today? And he's like, why don't you talk about how paradiddles affect your ghost notes, or some kind of drummer suggestion. And he always has the best suggestions. Matthias, East Coast drum teacher, Keith Carlock. No, I wish. I would love to take a lesson with Keith Carlock. I mentioned it last week. I'm taking lessons with Chris Coleman. So Chris Coleman played drums with Beck, and he's one of the greatest drummers on planet Earth. Literally, like one of the greatest drummers on planet Earth. Look him up. Look him up on YouTube right now. As I hang up, it's 11:15 p.m. I'm gonna hang up here from you guys in a little bit. Once I click out of this live stream, type in Chris Coleman and watch this guy play. He played with New Kids on the Block, Brandy. His last gig was with Beck. He's a freaking ninja. He's a Yoda ninja on the drums. Come back to the Roundhouse. Yeah, the Roundhouse is cool. Where'd we play in London last time? I liked Brixton. Brixton was way better sound at the Brixton Academy. I think most people would agree. Yeah, Matthias, I'll let you know. I'll let you know how the lesson goes. I'll share everything with you. I love you, Matthias. Mwah. I miss you so much. You weren't on the call, the crew call. Our Rival Sons crew had a Zoom call, and everybody was on it, and no band members were allowed. So I wonder all the shit talking they were doing. But anyway, I'm gonna sign out, you guys, and I love you. Thank you for joining me again to the MileyOnDrumz live stream. I'm trying to sound like a radio guy, or Bob Maneri. Follow Bob Maneri on Instagram. He does funny sports commentating. Yeah, Roundhouse at Camden. Yeah, I was saying I prefer Brixton, just because of the sound. No seats for us old gits at Brixton. I thought Brixton had a ton of seats. It's got balconies, doesn't it? Anyway, I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay, I love you. Thanks for joining me again. All right.